Do you struggle with social media addiction? There, I got your attention, because many of you do. We're going to talk about it next on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Jesus is God's selfie. Going to talk about this today. I'm drinking a little HEADBANGERS brew this morning, one of our 9 blends, our very own coffee, along with our mugs, our posters, our t-shirts. WeAreMetal.com is where you can find them all. Really cool bling right there. Dear Pastor Bob, I hate social media and cell phone addiction. I personally do not have an issue with this topic. My son is not addicted to his cell phone either. However, he's obsessed with online gaming on his desktop PC. I'm very tempted to pull the power cord every day when I have to leave the house for work. I understand. And by the way, yeah, he has social media addiction too. You know, it's a broad subject. Some people are more on the gaming side. Some people are more on the texting side of it. Some people are addicted to YouTube and TikTok and, you know, watching video after video, Instagram, and just seeing, you know, visual things and whatever it might be. But we all have a little bit of one. Now, I do this podcast, and so I have a lot of feedback coming from people all the time, and not just that, but from our ministry around the world. And I counted the other day, and there are 17 different social media sites that I actually receive messages on. I check that many things. And then that doesn't even count how many emails I have that people address, or how many pages I have on Facebook. I have 3 pages there that I have to check. More than 3, actually. And there's some things that I get to once a week because I can't possibly check everything every day. And there's some things I never seem to get to. And I'm sorry for that. But I understand. And for me, it's not an addiction. For me, it's part of what I do. But then I'm always looking, you know, my phone, I just have it on vibrate, it doesn't ring. And my phone vibrates and I always, okay, who's getting a hold of me? And that happens if I'm in a meeting and I have my phone down for an hour. When I pick it up again, it takes me a while to answer everybody's questions or comments or whatever, because it just goes and goes and goes. Now, I don't hear really well. I've had too many years of loud rock and roll, just saying. I really have. And so I don't hear very well. And I don't hear on the phone very well. So the phone used to be our biggest source of communication. And today, it's not on the top of my list. In fact, if people call me, I have a recording that says, you know, please text me, because I just don't hear very well on the phone, and it's not my communication of sort. So this is important, folks, that all of us kind of understand what's necessary and what isn't. Our phone calls, our text messages, whatever necessary, well, yes, it's how we communicate. Can we get by without all of that? Yes. So my earliest memories are with the phone in the kitchen, and that's where it was. It was in the kitchen on a counter where my mom did her paperwork, a little desk that was in a bigger kitchen. And that's where the phone was. It wasn't in all the rooms. It wasn't in multiple places in the house. It was there. And then I also learned that if it rang 3 times, then the call was for us. If it rang once or twice or 4 times, whatever, that it wasn't for us. We were on a party line. Other people were on the same line. You probably never heard of that, but that's the way it was in the early days. And it was, of course, a rotary phone. We didn't have anything else. And so whenever the phone rang 3 times, it was a big deal. It meant it was for us. But if we weren't home, we didn't get the call. If we were out driving or on a vacation and going from place to place and spending a whole hour, on the road, there was somebody that sometimes we would check in with and say, is everything okay? But many times you'd be gone for days and not really in communication with anyone. You usually let somebody know where you were going to be, but you weren't readily accessible. And I remember the times when the answering machines became popular, and this was after I had graduated from high school. And I remember when I got my first answering machine. It was amazing. I had a restaurant then, and I had it for the restaurant to answer the phone when we weren't there. It was a big deal to leave our message, and then you could listen to people's responses. And I was a little older when that happened. And so this hasn't always been the way it is. This phenomena of instant communication just didn't happen. If you lived in a different city than I did, that was any kind of distance in the United States, it was a long distance call. If you wanted to call overseas, that was unheard of. It was way too expensive. And it was very expensive to call from state to state even. You just didn't do it. And so if somebody was calling you long distance, you knew to talk fast and to get off the phone as quickly as you could. So that's where I came from. But why do I go through that story? Because we were just fine. In fact, in some ways a lot better. We sat down at the evening dinner table and ate together. Nobody with their cell phone checking their messages. We ate together. I stopped to see a family the other day, and as I entered, every single person in the household were all sitting around, nobody talking to each other, and they all had their phones. And as I was trying to communicate, they would look up once in a while or acknowledge something that I said, and finally I just left. Seriously, because I couldn't get anybody's attention, and neither did they have the attention of anyone else in the room. The family is absolutely divided because of their social media. If I were a parent these days, I would have a separate place for cell phones and say, okay, turn your cell phone off or put it on silent, put it in this box. Now let's sit around the dinner table, and for at least an hour, we're going to spend time together. If you were to ask me where I've learned the principles of life, the things that really mean something, the experiences of my parents, the guidance of my family, the interaction between my siblings, all of that was done at the dinner table. And sometimes we would spend hours there just talking and learning and sharing and whatever. Families don't do this anymore. In fact, many families don't even sit down to have a meal anymore. And you need to, by the way. You need to. This is part of family dynamics. And parents, it's your responsibility to raise up your children in the way they should go. And you can't do it without communication. You will either do it, or that cell phone will do it, or the social media will do it, or God forbid TikTok will do it. And if you're not, they will. And that's the plan. Yes. Do you want to take your family back? One of the most important things you can do is have a meal together. Cell phones not included. We're going to spend time together. Get used to it. They may fight and kick and scream at first, because, you know, they're detoxing, seriously. But spend quality time, and with the church also, spend quality time together. And you don't always have to, every time you're experiencing something, you don't always have to put up your camera and begin to take a picture from your phone or whatever. Not everything is a photo op. Some things need to enter your heart, not your phone. And I've seen people that are watching something fantastic, and they're not getting it in full view. They're only seeing it through the lens of their camera, not experiencing anything else, and that's all it ever is. And you get together with friends, and the meaningful part of that is, for some people, taking pictures of it, and then looking at the pictures and posting the pictures afterwards, and the relationship between them and the people they were spending time with seems to not even be important, because the important part was capturing it, not living in the moment. Folks, I hope for you that you'll live a lot more in the moment. I hope that you'll make some rules in your household. Is it a problem with gaming, online gaming? Not necessarily. It can be. Depends on who you're gaming with. But is it a problem with online gaming? No, as long as it has parameters. And again, the best thing you can do is establish some time with your family where you turn everything off and you communicate. And you simply enjoy each other. And that will last you for a lifetime. Folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.